So first thing you need to do is obviously log in, and hopefully you've got the correct permissions to actually build these forms. If you don't, contact me and I can bump it up. So I think let's start with the most simplest thing. So coming back to the Excel sheet, then let's build all the values that we want to have in this support group. So let's say we want, say, general. Let's say we want IT. Let's say we want finance. So those are the options that we want in the support group. Let me just copy those down here. So what we're going to do is we're going to build a table first that will hold these options, that will hold general IT and finance. So let's come to a new sheet here. Is we're going to create a table. It's going to be called STM dot say help desk group, singular. So that'll be the name of the table that will hold those bits of information. Okay. So the first thing that we need to remember is that everything that you build, every table that you build in the system needs a unique ID, because when we link it to the main body, we're only going to be storing the ID. Okay. So what I'm going to call the ID field, so we're going to discuss the fields now that are going to be in this table. So I'm going to just copy that. So the first field will be called same. I like to keep it the same name as the table name, but just add the word ID at the end. But I mean, you can call it what you want. So that'll be the group unique identifier. Okay, so it's kind of like a ticket number in the help desk. It'll be unique, which will represent that value. And then we'll want to actually store what that unique identifier means. So it'll be, say, the group name. Okay. And then I think that's all we really need for this table, because it's only going to store group name against the incident. So that's a really simple table. So let's call this name, so to say. Let's stick to singular just to keep things simple. Yep. It'll be group name, and this will be the fields. That'll be the table name. Okay. So let's go ahead and create. Now, if you're wondering what this STM is it's just short for system. So typically, whenever you build something in SQL Server, it's good to separate them by a schema. So sometimes we refer to this as a schema. So STM means it's in the system schema. Because if you have a look at behind the scenes, if you have a look at SQL Server, so this is SQL Server. With SQL Server, you can open up databases and you can see tables. So you can see tables, views, and then over here, store procedures, functions. So you don't need to worry about all of this. I know it does seem complicated, but at the moment, we're just dealing with tables now. And here you can see a lot of STM system tables that are already used. Okay, so we're going to create one called STM groups or help desk groups, like we said in our Excel sheet. So let's do that now. So let's go to the system. I've now logged in. I'm going to go admin, technical design, form design. So I'm going to build my first form. I'm going to say it's a new form. Now connection is a connection to the database. So I'm going to just go with the default database for now. The table schema will be STM, and the table name will be help desk group, and the primary key, the unique identifier, will just be help desk group ID. Okay, that's all the technical stuff. Then for the caption, I'm going to just call it help desk group. You can have a top comment on here. I'm not going to bother right now. I'm just filling in the bare minimum. You see there's quite a lot of fields here. You don't have to fill them all in, and you can always come back and you can change them later. Here you can add like security to, so who can read this data, who can edit it, who can add it, who can delete it, and who can change the design of it. Okay. I'm going to skip all this because I'm just going for the bare minimum here, and I'm going to just click update form. Okay. So now, if I close this group, I can now search for help desk. Here you can see the help desk group table has appeared. I can now go into it And then here are all the fields, filters, subforms, and buttons for this new form that I've created. So also, by the way, if you go back and just refresh your tables here, you'll see STM dot helpdesk. Where's it? Helpdesk group. So it's behind the scenes, it's gone and it's created this helpdesk group. And it's put some columns in here for you already. So it's put in some default columns, created by, created date, modified by, modified date time, and whether it's deleted. And it's also created your primary key here, so you don't need to create the primary key. Okay, but when you look at it through DDF and you expand fields, you don't see any fields. And the reason is because you need to resync it. So if you just scroll down here and you just say synchronize fields, and you scroll up and you just click on refresh, it will refresh these fields, and now you can see all those fields have now come through. So these are the fields that is created for you by default, okay? And if you expand buttons, you can see it's also created these 4 buttons. So you've got a refresh button, new, update, and delete button for your form. So it's built the fields for you, or the majority of the fields, and it's built the buttons for you. So the only field that we're missing here, according to our spec over here, is group name. So I'm going to create that one field. So I'm going to just copy it. And then over here, I'm going to say new field. You want to create a new field. It belongs on that form. It'll default to that. My field will be called group name. Okay, and I'll call the caption the same. I'm not going to bother to change it just now. Saying what type of field is this? You've got a whole bunch of types here. So this is something you'll need to get familiar with SQL Server. So I'm going to go varchar, which is basically means it's a string field. And how long you want it to be, I'm going to keep it as, say, 255 characters. Do I want to default it to a particular value? I'm not going to bother right now. Again, you can always come back and change it. And very important, is it visible in detail? Is it visible in the browse screen? They're both ticked by default. I'm going to say update, and then you should see here's group names. Put it right in the front. Again, you can change the order of these things, so you can always click back on it. And if you come down here, you shall find an order by order number column. You can order it in here. Again, if we click fix, the fix order button over here, it will then look at all your fields and will number them automatically for you. So if I then refresh, you'll see the order it's put it in. So it's put this one first, then the group name, then the created by. That's kind of put it in the correct order, the order that I wanted it in. And that's how you create your form. So if you want to test your form, okay, here it is here. So I've closed it. If you scroll right to the right, you've got test form here. And here you're now testing it. So it's currently got nothing in it. I can say I want a new help desk group. I want to call it, say, IT related. Click update. It's now saved it. I want a new group name called finance. Finance. Update that. I've now got finance, and let's call it general. Pick it up here. Date. Okay, that's how easy it is to create a form in DDF. So these kind of small forms, like this help desk group form, that's going to feed this column G, we normally call these little tables or forms, we normally call them dictionary tables, because they're small tables that support the actual main grid.